Now that you've joined your Microsoft Teams meeting using the technology in this boardroom, let's look at the in-meeting controls that you have on the Microsoft Teams touchscreen. On the bottom left-hand side, we'll see that there's a button called Cortana. That's for some voice commands. Next to that is a square with kind of divided into four. That's your gallery button or your layout button. This will give you different options based on how many people are connected in the meeting and if content is being shared or not. As we see right now, we're just connected to a meeting without any other participants. But in the gallery, it will give you the opportunity of doing different things, like swapping screen, let's say. So if presentation is on one side and you rather the other, you can just swap the screen. There's one more feature here, and it's called Front Row. This is a Microsoft Teams feature, and it's a way of organizing your meeting so that the participants inside the meeting room has all of the necessary information in front of them. I'm going to go ahead and click Front Row. And what we're going to see is that the dual screens are now divided. You have things like raised hand, so if individuals are looking to speak, on the left-hand side. You have your chat on the right-hand side. At the bottom, there's a banner, and all of the participants who are joined to the meeting will be in this banner. On the right-hand side, you'll have the content that's being shared, and on the other side, you'll have the active speaker. So Front Row is a way of organizing your meeting and your view of that meeting in a certain way where kind of all the information is available. All right, I'm going to go click back on Gallery, close this out, and then move on down the line. To the right, you'll see a little icon with a hand, which is great because that gives you the opportunity to raise your hand inside of a meeting without interrupting. There's also the ability of sharing some icons or emojis, to clap if someone said something great. Then you have three little buttons. So let's talk about this because there's one feature in here that's worth exploring. Here you can turn things on like live caption and whether you show chat bubbles and things like that. But the one that's kind of most important is called Room Controls. Click on Room Controls, and that's going to open up the Camera Control app. And there's some different options here. You can see at the bottom that tracking is on, so the camera will auto-track the individuals in the room. And speaker is highlighted, so that means that the active speaker is what the camera is going to be tracking to whenever someone is actively speaking. You can also choose Group, which will frame all of the participants in the room. Or you can choose People, and this will be kind of a cropped section of the individuals in the room. Instead of just seeing the bowling alley view of the table, the camera is intelligent enough to be able to take the individual and crop them into kind of a grid pattern. With the new types of cameras, there's a lot of things that can be done. You can also simply just turn tracking off and just manually control the camera using the pan, tilt, zoom buttons. I'm going to go ahead and turn tracking back on. I'll keep it on speaker, and I'll back out. And now we're back at the Microsoft Teams control. If we keep going to the right, we see that the next section is your speaker volume. There's a plus sign, a minus sign, and a speaker icon. If you click the speaker icon, you'll see that there's a diagonal line across the icon, which means that you've just muted the volume in the room. If you click on it again, the diagonal line disappears, your volume is unmuted, and so you'll hear the far end inside the room. If you press the plus button, that will increase the volume. If you press the minus button, that will decrease the volume. Next to that, you have a camera icon. And this camera icon gives you the ability to mute or unmute your camera video. All you do is click the button. If there's a dash across the icon or a diagonal line across the icon, it's on mute. If there's no line, it's unmute. The next icon is your microphone icon. Same thing. If you click the button and the diagonal line shows up, that means you're on mute. And if you click the button again, you'll go off mute. Now, one thing to notice, there is a visual indication here in the room of whether or not you're on mute or off mute. In the ceiling, there are two ceiling microphones, and there's a green ring around the microphone when you're unmuted. If you go ahead and press the mute button, the ring will turn red and it'll tell you that you're on mute. The far end won't hear you. Next, to the right of that is the square with the arrow pointing up. That's your share button. So you would go ahead and share content by pressing the button and connecting your laptop. In this particular case, we don't have anything connected to the cable or the Barco ClickShare, and so we're not able to share. If you do connect your personal devices, you'll be able to share it within the meeting and in the meeting room using this button. And last but not least is the hang up button. When you're done with your meeting, click the leave button and it'll turn off the system. And those are the in-meeting controls you have with Microsoft Teams.